Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about two products, the new YSL primer and the new Forever Undercover 24-hour full coverage by Dior. So if this is something that you would like some more information about, then you are in the right place. We're about to get into it.
Watch out for me, I'm about to glow. You better watch out for me, I'm about to glow. Your boy all glow.
Alright guys, so let's start with this little beauty. So this is the new Dior Forever Undercover 24-hour full coverage foundation. Now this foundation claims to be a 24-hour foundation. Now I am never going to wear a foundation for 24 hours, but I do pull some pretty long 15-16 hour days, and I did give this a good test run for a couple of weeks before I actually brought it to you guys, because I really wanted to give you a good review. This product is not cheap. It is quite an investment. So we're also going to talk about whether or not this little beauty is worth that price. So let's talk about the claims first. In addition to it claiming to be a 24-hour foundation, it also claims that it's kiss-proof, transfer-proof, life-proof. So it basically claims that it's going to really sit on the skin and adhere to the skin. So you're not going to see a transfer, that it's going to stay in place all day long. Now, as far as those claims are concerned, I did find that it was transfer resistant. Now, if you rub your face up against something, it definitely transfers or comes off. If you're just putting a shirt on and your face like accidentally brushes something here or there, for the most part, it does stay in place and it tends not to come off. Another thing that I noticed with this foundation is that as I wore it throughout the course of the day, my typical wear areas are right here, my nose, my chin, and the center of my forehead. That's where most of my makeup will come off. Within about that 6-8 hour mark is where they all start to break down, with the exception of a couple of different foundation formulas. One thing I did find with this particular foundation is that it does last quite a long time. Now, important note about this foundation, it is a water-based formula. So for maximum effectiveness, I would definitely suggest that you pair it with a water-based primer. There are a lot of primers out there on the market. One of the primers they've suggested to use with this foundation is a primer that they sell with this foundation. So they're actually meant to go together, but it is quite expensive. There are some cheaper water-based options out there when it comes to primers. One of my favorites is the Too Faced Hangover RX. This is a great water-based primer and pairs beautifully with this particular foundation. Now, this foundation lasts a really significantly long time, and it's one of the few foundations that I don't feel like I have to powder, and I'm pretty particular about that. I would say about 89 to 90% of the formulas that I've tested or tried throughout the course of my life, I feel like I have to set it with a powder. This is one of those very rare exceptions. It feels very soft and very light on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel cakey. However, Dior included in this particular formula an incredibly high amount of pigment, which is where the full coverage claim comes in. So the actual statement from Peter Phillips, who is the creative director at Dior, who is the person that's responsible for this particular formula, his statement is that this particular foundation incorporated a very fluid texture, a very high concentration of pigments that ensures a perfect blemish correction. And he is true in what he's saying here. He says what's very new for such high coverage products is that you don't feel or see it. And that is very new in the makeup industry, is that very full coverage products, you are typically dealing with a very thick, very heavy feeling product on the skin. But they've developed technology over the course of the last couple of years that allows for a very thin, very fluid product to have so much pigment in it that it's a very high coverage product, but it's very light and it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. The Jouer comes to mind, the YSL All Hours, the Laura Mercier, the new one that just came out by her. All of these guys have mastered that very light as air feeling, so it doesn't feel heavy on the skin, but it still gives you that full coverage that you really, really want. So this is Dior's answer to the YSL All Hours, the Laura Mercier foundation, and all of these foundations that have come out recently that are very, very thin formulas, but are very high pigment, very full coverage formulas. And I have to say that Dior actually pulled this one off quite well. So I'm going to split the screen and show you over here what the application of this product was like. So initially when I put this product on, I used a brush to blend the product in. You really have to use just a little teeny tiny amount, and the formulation itself is actually quite watery. It doesn't have a pump, it just drops out of the top of the nozzle. You just give it a tiny squeeze and like a drop will drop out of it, and it's very thin. It's very kind of not watery, it's not that thin, but it is a thin formula. I used very little and I got an incredible amount of coverage. And the finish to this foundation is a beautiful, soft, matte finish. It's not so matte that your face is flat with no dimension. It does allow some of your natural shine and your natural glow to come through. So I do like that about this particular foundation. I do feel like it applied beautifully with a brush. I do prefer a brush with this particular one, and then I kind of go over it with a beauty blender, but it does provide a beautiful, beautiful finish, and I really enjoyed the application of this makeup. And again, it lasted throughout the course of the day. It didn't sink into my smile lines. It doesn't sink into my 11s or my frown lines. It stayed put all day and it stayed true to color without any oxidation. So I love this foundation. I wore it setting the product, I wore it not setting the product, I wore it with a setting spray, I wore it without a setting spray, and there are things you can do to get it looking fresh all day long. So adding a primer, adding a setting spray will keep it looking very, very fresh 8, 9, 10 hours long just on its own with no primer, no setting spray. I say you can probably get a good 6 hours out of it before it really starts to look worn down. Not that it's coming off anywhere, but you know, it looks like it's been on your face for quite a while. So I definitely recommend going in with a primer, recommend using a setting spray if you're looking to get like a good 16 hours out of this makeup. And it's absolutely possible to do that. I don't know that it's possible to do 24 hours. That's still left up for debate because I'm not going to test it for 24 hours. So that's not happening. All right, so final thoughts about this particular product. So again, I feel like this is Dior's answer to the new NARS that just came out. Same type of deal where you have a very thin formula, but you have very full coverage. I also think, as previously mentioned, the Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation by Laura Mercier, same type of concept. Thin consistency, doesn't feel heavy on the skin, but gives you great flawless coverage. And the YSL All Hours foundation, same exact concept, very light feeling on the skin. This actually says the same thing, up to 24 hours of a flawless matte wear. And the Jouer is an oldie but goodie when it comes to this type of technology. It's the Essential High Coverage Foundation, a very thin formula but incredibly pigmented and very high coverage. That's exactly what you're going to get with this particular foundation. This is Dior's version of all of those. It's a very thin formula water-based, but still gives you that great coverage that you're looking for. So I am going to absolutely, Erica, approve this foundation because it did perform fantastic. It all of its claims, it held up to all of its claims, and it actually did what it was supposed to do. So this one is absolutely Erica approved. It is a little bit on the pricey side. You do get a little more than 1 fluid ounce, which is what you typically get with everyone else. You actually get 1.3 fluid ounces in this, and so you know, you can take that into consideration. One thing I also like is that it's not a glass bottle. It's actually plastic, but it still looks very nice. I like the plastic bottle because this is something that can get beaten up and tossed around and you really don't have to worry about it breaking. So I actually appreciate that. I also appreciate the fact that these thinner formulas, I like the fact that this isn't in a pump. Sometimes with these thinner formulas, when you do a pump, it's actually a little too much. So allowing this formula to have a dropper on it so you can really control how much of that comes out, I think I like that idea a little bit better. So overall, very satisfied with this product. Love the way that it looks on the skin. I actually have it on this evening, and this one is absolutely Erica approved. Guys, so next let's talk about this bad boy, the YSL TOUCHE Éclat Blur Primer. Now, this primer, you actually get 1 fluid ounce of this primer. It is quite costly at, I believe it's a little over $50. And you get, again, 1 fluid ounce in here. This primer is supposed to be a blurring, smoothing primer. It claims to fill in fine lines and wrinkles, minimize pores, and give you that blurred look, that matte look with a little bit of radiance. So they claim to be like the first primer that gives you that blurred look, which typically also gives you a matte look, but this is supposed to give you a radiant look in addition to all of those blurring properties. So obviously it piqued my interest and I thought I would give it a ride. Now, let's talk about the ingredients in this primer for just a moment. The first, I would say, 5 ingredients are all dimethicone or silicone derivatives. So this is a very thick, heavy dimethicone, silicone-filled primer. This primer is basically like just putting dimethicone on your face. Now, where the radiant aspect comes in is that it has this glitter throughout, as you guys can see. And when you put this on skin, it's not so much a radiance as it is glitter particles on your skin. So I've put the product here, and as you can see, it does like what pretty much most dimethicone formulas do. It's just that really soft feeling, but I don't even know if you guys can see the little flecks of glitter in there. It's probably so minute that you can't even really tell it's there, unless you step out into like some fluorescents in like Walmart or Kmart, you know, those really harsh fluorescent lights. Then you'll start to notice, oh, I have a fleck of glitter here or there. It's actual glitter particles. So it's not that the primer is radiant. As you can see, there's not really anything radiant going on over here at all. It's just nice and smooth like any dimethicone kind of formula primer would be, but there's no radiance coming from this. It really does fall flat, and I get that, you know, a lot of the YouTubers are flipping out about it and it makes your skin so soft, but you know, I'll tell you a product that does the exact same thing that you can get at a very less expensive cost to yourself, and is something that a lot of models still to this day use, and that's this. This is the Monistat Complete Care Chafing Relief Powdered Gel. This product is literally 100% dimethicone. And to this day, and that's why I have it in my collection, is that it really is the same kind of consistency, as you can see, and it just blurs out exactly like this one does. It blurs out fine lines and wrinkles because dimethicone is a molecule that is bigger than wrinkles and pores, and so what it does is it sits on top of the skin and allows your foundation to sit on top of the skin and not sink into those pores or fine lines and wrinkles. So pretty much the same exact results, except with this, you don't get a lot of gold glitter on your face. Another product that is just as silicone-y and dimethicone as this is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. Exactly the same thing, except it's missing the glitter that's in this. In addition to the dimethicone that's in this, they've also injected this with 4 different oils that they say are in there to nourish the skin. So, the one exception I have is that if you have really dry, parched, and I mean really dry skin, then this will be great for you. If you are even the slightest bit oily anywhere, T-zone, anywhere, then I would avoid this, because this will actually break through your foundation and cause your foundation to break down a little bit once it mixes with your natural oils on your face. So if you are very parched and you need that extra nourishment and your face isn't producing very much facial oil at all, then this might actually be a good fit for you, because it will actually nourish your skin with those additional oils that have been placed in this formula. If that is not you, then I would just go get the Smashbox Photo Finish, or just go get a tube of Monistat. Cheaper. So at the end of the day, I don't think this is worth the hype, and therefore it is not going to be Erica approved. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this rundown of these 2 products. Let me know if you guys have tried either one of these and what you think about it. Until next time, my friends, I hope everyone stays happy and healthy. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah!